afternoon. Welcome back. This is another episode of Corner to Copa. I'm here with my co-host, Coach. What's going on, man?
Not much, not much. Some nice games against the Yankees so far, closing out tonight with the nationally televised game. And boy, we got some new faces up on the squad too this week.
Absolutely. It's been an eventful week of baseball that included sweeping the Seattle Mariners, and so far we've split with the New York Yankees with the help of the return of Kerry Carpenter. He had a couple big home runs this week. We had a walk-off hit via Akil Baddoo, and we even got a late inning home run from Javi Baez to close out the Seattle Mariners. Which was an interesting game. We only gave up one run, which was Alex Faedo walking four batters in an opener. We've had such wacky openers to games, but outside of that, we were able to hold them down in that game. And then the Tigers were actually in Jace Young and Trey Sweeney's debut game. We actually got shut out ourselves on Friday, and then we came back and returned the favor with a shutout of our very own, which was capped off by the return of Spencer Torkelson, who spent the last couple months in AAA. He went 2 for 3 yesterday. He had a double, a triple, and a walk. And the youth movement is in full effect. We got a lot of young guys up. We DFA'd Gio Urshela. As I had hopes of seeing with the what we have left in the year. It's really not about necessarily having the best veteran guys up at this point. It's an opportunity for us to evaluate some of our young guys that we have in AAA and seeing what we have there. But hopefully we can continue to win games. We got of course, some exciting news to talk about as far as the rosters are concerned. But what was your overall feeling of the week in general? I feel like it was longer than a week. Maybe it's because I went to so many games myself. You went to 2 as well, but I feel like a lot has transpired in the last 7 days.
Yeah, no, like you said, we went to the Tuesday game together originally, and then opportunity presented itself for Wednesday to go with one of our college buddies. Shout out to Drew. Thank you for that invite. And obviously, we were a little skeptical in the second game, thinking, well, we may have met our output quota for the week in one game on Tuesday with 15 runs
15
and
runs.
5 home runs. I haven't seen that since probably the days going back to JD, Miggy, and Prince back then, 10 years ago during that last run. But that was really good to see. We jumped all over a really good pitcher with Seattle, and they had the lead. They have the league's best rotational ERA. So you're thinking, okay, well, law of average is going to tell us that we're probably not going to score any the rest of the way. And boy, yeah, that was a clutch. Bottom of the 8th inning to tie the game, right?
You talking about the Baez one, or
the next night?
Kerry Carpenter. It was
yeah.
It was late. It was
8th, and then we won it in the 9th or 10th. It may not.
It was the extra inning.
It was extra, yeah.
But do one, yeah. The first, it was the 10th.
Though. But Tuesday night with Scuba pitching, I thought maybe there'd be a little bit of a better turnout. Mariners are ahead of us in the wild card, and they're in the hunt with Houston for the divisional lead. You thought, okay, last week or so before kids start going back to school, college again, we'll start up here in another week or two. But it was fun to see. It's funny because we also went to back-to-back games together, and also for the first time all year, they had back-to-back exactly the same batting lineup, and somehow we're still able to squeeze out a couple of runs to get that win. But this is the kind of part of the year we're looking at, It's easy to get caught up in some of the emotions. Some of these guys performing, they might provide a spark, But as we talked briefly offline, as we, dig a little bit deeper into the playoff picture, as things start to slowly become a little more focused in terms of pretenders and contenders pushing and falling through. We barely made any ground, whether it was the division or the wild card from last week, despite the success, which is kind of frustrating. So. I understand some fans out there, and ourselves included, it's easy to get caught up and be like, "Oh, well, we're 5-2 in our last 7 games. I'm sure we made up at least 2 games. Maybe 2.5 for lucky." And we go back and you look at it, and you're like, "Man, we barely barely made any progress." So, but I'm gonna put that part aside. I'm just gonna look, just like you said, go look at the young guys, see how they perform. They're going to face a lot of playoff caliber teams down the stretch here, even going back to the first series after the break in Toronto. So we'll see. It's just a wait and see moment, and yeah, we just got to take it in and evaluate come the end of the year.
Absolutely. And yeah, so a lot of roster moves. Even the individual that had one of the more clutch moments of the week has already been sent down. I'm not 100% how that all plays out, but I'm sure you have all that worked out as far as the roster and injury update. So we can just get right into. You know what? We'll take our first break and then we'll come back with that. All right, take it away, coach.
All right. So a quick, a little bit further down on the farm. Haven't heard too much from him personally, but on the 11th, the Tigers had placed Angel, really right-hand pitcher Angel De Jesus, on the IL. I'm assuming it's probably 60-day Tommy John surgery. I'm assuming he was pitching for Double A or lower. That's pretty much all the news they had on that. On the same day is when they put Wenceel Perez on the 10-day IL with that oblique strain. Hinch had been quoted saying that he does not know if he's going to return or not. They said that when the injury happened in game, he realized he couldn't swing the bat at all. So he took strike 3 looking, which was it's tough to take, but then he also walked the next at bat before he came out. So I'm not sure why he didn't just ask to be taken out immediately if you can't um, if you can't swing the bat. He's just kind of giving away an out. But yep. And then they recalled Akil Baddoo at the same time. So he's been back, obviously, with the walk-off hit that we saw Wednesday in extra innings prior to the afternoon matinee sweep. On the 12th, we had received word that Kevin McGonigal had suffered a broken hamate bone in his hand, most likely done for the year. Those can take weeks to heal, and then probably some rehab therapy, make sure that you can grip the bat, hold the bat, and there's not an issue while swinging, etc. Then on the 13th, Riley Green went down for rehab assignments at Toledo, did fairly well. Then on the 18th, Casey Mize, and also a rehab assignment with Toledo through 3 1/3 on Tuesday. 1 hit, 1 walk, over 50 pitches, 34 strikes. So that's 34-16. Not a bad ratio. And also on the 18th, as we all know, because he is starting tonight in Williamsport, Riley Green activated from the injury list. Prior to that, they had optioned down Bly Madris back to Toledo. That's more so tied to the Spencer Torkelson call up, first baseman. Good glove, just he's got some power, but like you said, like we talked offline, Foster, Bly Madris is limited. 28, 29. He's been almost a lifelong minor leaguer, not really in the, serious future of the organization. Just a good quality veteran minor league player to have. So we may see him in a few weeks when the rosters expand potentially, but right now it looks like Spencer Torkelson will be getting majority of the starts at first. And yeah, that's it in terms of injuries and transactions. But aside from that, we'll go ahead and transition a little bit into the upcoming schedule here. As again, Tigers will be playing the New York Yankees tonight on ESPN a little after 7 o'clock Eastern in Williamsport, home of the Little League World Series. This is a little bit partnership that Major League Baseball has been doing with youth baseball and Little League to exposure, get the kids involved. So all the teams that have made it to Williamsport, I believe, are or had been offered tickets to attend the event tonight. There was a lot of meet and greet earlier today. You can see on their social medias through MLB and all the other platform handles between Little League, Major League Baseball, and the Yankees and Tigers. They got to meet some players, autographs, talk with the kids, talk shop, talk baseball, and this is going to be a lifetime core memory for these, not just these kids, but these families with their parents and siblings. Just a fun time all the way around. And additionally, a major league umpire or two is assigned to come down and umpire one or two games of the Little League World Series throughout the tournament. Again, exposure, cool moment for the umpires who are all volunteer otherwise. So they get to rub shoulders with them, and it's about sharing knowledge and stories and anecdotes about the game, and drawing inspiration and motivation. So it'll be a fun time down there for all of them. Looks like the weather is going to pan out, thankfully, overall. So they will be playing tonight in that regard. But with no weather threatening it potentially, we turn around Tuesday to Thursday. We are in the city of Chicago for 3, facing the Cubbies. We will turn around and stay in Chicago to play the White Sox Friday through Monday. And then heading into that, we continue into the week beyond. They will host the Angels right after, no day off, and then a 3-game set against the Boston Red Sox, leading that into September 1st.
All right. So I had some technical difficulties. I apologize. Sounds like you kind of went through the upcoming schedule. You touched on the Little League World Series a little bit as well.
Yep, on the game tonight between the teams, just kind of the experiences that we've been seeing on social medias that have been posted all afternoon. Just engaging with the kids, the coaches, the parents. So cool moments for them. They haven't been doing this really that long, but it's good to see. They've been doing other specialty items. They did the Field of Dream games the last few years, which is a cool tribute to the movie for those of us old enough to remember.
Right.
The Field of Dreams movie. Classic baseball up there with Bull Durham and a handful of other great baseball movies. Of course, Kevin Costner's been a part of few between Field of Dreams and For the Love of the Game, where ironically he does portray a Tiger starting pitcher. But yeah, so we've got injuries and transactions pretty much wrapped up.
Was it Bird Friedrich, or who was he?
No, he just plays a made up character in the movie, but he as a Tigers pitcher though, Kevin Costner. For the Love of the Game.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So it's obviously in Williamsport, and obviously the Little League field is different than that. So they have a major league regulation size stadium as well.
Yeah, they do. Yep. I'm pretty sure they had it built just specifically for that because they knew it's something they're going to, do year over year. And I wouldn't be surprised if it gets rented out to some other local teams or tournaments for regular use as well.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with Down on the Farm, and then we're just going to kind of see where the conversation rolls. All right. As far as Down on the Farm, it's been pretty quiet as of lately. A lot of that is due to the fact that there's been a lot of movement between AAA and the pros, and as we start bringing in some of these young guys up to the major leagues, there's going to be less action, of course, going on Down on the Farm. Obviously, Kevin McGonagall's out for the year. It's actually his birthday today. Happy birthday to our future young stud, Kevin McGonagall. We saw Max Clark his right post about it earlier today, and best wishes to him, and get well soon. But at the Max Clark hit his first home run since he's been up in the upper A this week. He's continuing to play pretty strong and truly making a campaign to move through the ranks of the system. Outside of that, Navigado had 2 home runs on Friday. Um, it's interesting. It's interesting. The more you keep up with the minor league guys, the more you see where there are, I don't want to call them politics, but it's obvious he's probably had one of the better seasons of anybody in the minor league system. He obviously is a little bit older, but you are seeing guys like Ryan Kreidler, um, and it is all position based as well, but you're seeing guys like Ryan Kreidler get multiple opportunities. Mind you, also you have to factor in you have to be on the 40-man roster. You have to make room to be on the 40-man roster, and he didn't start the year on the 40-man roster, so that plays into things as well. But I certainly hope that he'll at least get some kind of look at the major league level at some point this year. But it just seems like the numbers game has worked against him thus far, and it is what it is. If he doesn't get an opportunity here, he certainly possibly get an opportunity somewhere else. So not to be worried about too much, but of course, like I said, there's been a lot of movement. Obviously, Kerry Carpenter was activated on Monday, so he was one of those guys that was playing in AAA. Akil Badu had, I don't know, he was, that goes back over a week ago where he was last in AAA. Obviously, Bly Madris was sent back down to AAA, and Torkelson got sent up. So a lot of
Yep. We may have lost Foster again there for a moment. I'm going to expand on that real quick until we get him back up online here and back talking again here. So real quick here, yeah, there were some other call ups and flurry of movement over the weekend. This weekend, that is, that was initially highlighted. Obviously, we DFA Gio Urshela, which was kind of surprising, but when the amount of young guys that were coming up that were middle infielders in terms of Sweeney and Jace Young, and then Torkelson came up, you knew there was going to be some casualties because some of the other guys, have already been up and down. Some have been hurt. So the only next option left, they DFA Gio and Easton Lucas, their left-handed relief pitcher who's been up 2 or 3 times this year. Hadn't done a whole lot to impress. Obviously, Tyler Holton's been their big dog, their big, consistent lefty out of the pen, pretty much pitching every role they had to offer this year, and now obviously more opener, if you will, work out there. With Maeda backing him up, who's pitched a lot better out of the bullpen. Crazy to think. I don't think I was going to think myself saying that, given the atrocities I'd seen him throwing this year. But now that we've got these guys in place, so which, mind you, we have another. When later on when Foster comes back on, we'll openly discuss. Okay, well, teams get 26 man roster active. The League World Series game allows for an extra player. So that was green, who was activated, and kind of leaves an open window as to who may either be sent down or potentially, put on DFA waivers, of which, Gio did about an hour ago or within the last hour. Gio did clear outright waivers, so I believe he'll become an unrestricted free agent. I do not believe he accepted an AAA assignment to Toledo, which we kind of expected. Veteran guy, could be a quality depth piece for a late little push here in the wild card or divisional race of someone in need of right-handed bat. Veteran, um, wasn't overwhelming with his average, but he usually had some clutch hits, good with the glove. He's reliable, he's dependable. He's not going to be, a weak link, if you will. So best of luck to Gio. I think a lot of us here in Detroit enjoyed his time, what he brought. Easygoing, fun guy. That's easy to bring into the fold and embrace. So quick tenure here in Detroit with Gio, but obviously a name that we know in terms of baseball, we know fairly well. So best of luck to him. Now that we got these young guys up, all right, there's a lot of young guys, and boy, there are a lot of lefties in this lineup on a regular basis. So the kind of question we're going to propose, those of you watching on YouTube here, throw us a comment down below, whether you're watching live or watching this recording after. Or if you're listening on any of the other audio platforms, by all means, jump on over to our YouTube page, throw a comment. Does this team have a legitimate opportunity to make a run at a wild card spot? Considering they're over still, they're still 12 and a half game backs to the division. They're 8.5 games back to the wild card. Since the series after the All-Star break, which is Toronto, because they were fairly sellers early, and Tampa's been sellers. 15 of those last 20 series are against all teams within 5 games of the wild card or a divisional race. So now that we got Foster back up and running again, thanks to the overexposed Woodward Dream Cruise that we had out here in Metro Detroit. He's people just, sucking on the Wi-Fi teat over there, I guess, just hauling all the data. So good to see you're back up here. Just kind of help close up your thought. Not sure where you heard me left off, but
I'm gonna kind of switch lanes, but this is why you have co-hosts that are professional and can kind of keep things going. Coach is holding it down for me because tires aren't the only thing burning out around here. Obviously, I got computer issues and stuff to work out through, but we can. Hold on, let's see.
Yeah, throw in an ad break.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Not a bad idea. We'll be right back on the other.
So we talked. Okay, so you talked about Gio Urshela and basically just his short tenure in Detroit and his contributions and how we obviously appreciate it, all that he's done. But yes, we're into the youth movement. We've got an opportunity to check out Trey Sweeney and Jace Young for the first time. What are you? Have you had an opportunity to take a look at them, and what, in obviously a short time, have you taken from what they've displayed thus far?
I haven't really, but I was keeping along some of the box score stuff on ESPN's GameCast, and it's early. I mean, Young didn't get a hit in his first game, but he had 2 walks against Garrett Cole, if I'm not mistaken, which, that's about as good as a hit, honestly, with how good he's been in the last handful of years of his career between, bookending with the World Series in Houston before leaving for the Yankees. He's a perennial all-star pitcher. He's got 5 legitimate pitches, so that's good to see the plate discipline and patience out of him. Then obviously he got his first hit the next game. And then I believe Sweeney got a hit, and then I also had a beautiful play in the infield, going to the hole in short, making a throw. So, guys making not necessarily simple plays, but they're making the right plays in simple situations, and they're not overthinking it so far. So that's kind of what I've taken away from those guys. Obviously, kind of got to really have to wait till the end of the year really to get a good idea kind of where they're at. As I alluded to, they're not really going to get very many easy series. Yeah, we have the White Sox twice. We balance it with all these teams that are above us in the wild card. The Padres are right there. They're hot now all of a sudden. We're going to have the White Sox twice, the Angels, the A's, and the Rockies all mixed in with these playoff teams. So, hopefully these guys can get some confidence and some momentum, and who knows, they might mess around a little bit and end right around 500, maybe a game or 2 above, which would be the first time in years that we've been at that 500 mark at the end of the year. So yeah, it'd be good to see that momentum roll over. But they're going to be tested for sure over the next 35, 40 days at least.
Yeah, I think that as far as Young and Sweeney, Young has played both games of the Yankee series, and I want to say Sweeney played game one, but not game two. But as far as defensively, I think they both have translated pretty good thus far. Sweeney was playing shortstop, which is obviously a very highly skilled position to play. And I don't think he had any super tough plays to make, but he was able to make the routine ground ball plays. I think that Young, what's going to translate the best is his glove. I think his throwing ability is going to be the part that's going to be an adjustment. Obviously, him going from second base to third base, there's a little bit of a transition as far as that's concerned. But I want to say he made a nice little diving catch and throw from his knees to Tork yesterday. So that was impressive to see. But as far as hitting for them, I think that's going to easily translate. And I think that Young kind of displayed that this year, that the bat is not going to be the issue. Like you said, he drew 2 walks in game one and had 2 hits yesterday. One being, I think his first debut hit was a comebacker with an exit velocity over 100 miles per hour. So making good contact, making good contact against respectable pitching. And I want to say it was against the lefty. I think it was against what's his name, Rolon or Rodon?
Oh, Carlos Rodon.
Yeah.
Former White
So
Sox.
right. So, lefty on lefty, AJ doesn't like playing those lefties against lefties. So, when you can prove that you can handle yourself with pitchers on either side, that's important as well. But they'll
It's
both be
funny.
in
We
the
mentioned that the last show. We were like, hey, let's see these kids go against the same side. They can.
right.
Let's see what they can do. I mean, we're playing with house money right now. So what's the worst that's going to happen? So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, speaking of lefties, and you talked about how lefty heavy we are in the lineup. One was just sent down, kind of numbers game situation. Obviously, your boy, they brought up Torkelson, but Bly Madris, who had a rough week, but overall, was doing pretty well. He ended up hitting about 264. But his splits with runners on and runners in scoring position, he was hitting well above 350 in both those scenarios. So what do you? Where do I? Where do we start here?
I'm assuming you're going to ask me something about Tork.
Of course, I'm going to ask you about Tork.
Yeah.
But before we talk about Tork, I also want to highlight the fact that Kaiser Montero had yet another strong performance. He went 5 innings, 5 innings pitched. He had 2 hits, 5 strikeouts, 0 earned runs. And he continues to show that when the command is there, he has major league stuff. And the pitching has not come at a in the mat. As far as starting pitching, we just don't have a lot of that right now. So it's been very important that when Tarek Skubal and Montero were up there, we can depend on them, and we have been able to for the last couple of starts. So very encouraging. Obviously, Kaiser Montero has been in the system since he was 17 years old, I believe. So although he's like 24 now, he's been around. He's not a new guy to the Detroit Tigers system. So the time is now for him to show that, hey, I want to compete for a 4th and 5th starting position next year. So it's important that he can keep that momentum going. But obviously, the man of the hour, Tork, was called up, which we kind of, I had a feeling that he was going to get one more crack at it. And so far, he's made the best of it. What are your thoughts on his debut back in Detroit in August? Not debut, but
yeah, he hit for some power, hit double, triple his first game back up. It was just, it was tough when I was reading some of the comments when he was being talked. When he first came back in, walking into the clubhouse, locker room, talking to some guys, talking to some media, kind of, informally, if you will, and then was quoted a little bit saying, I'm where I'm supposed to be. And I thought to myself, it's hard to tell if that's ego or confidence, because I can tell you the last time you left, you had zero confidence. So it's been good,
isn't
obviously, but
confidence what aids you in doing what you do very well?
he's not done it very well most of his major league career. In fact, very few and far between. That's the thing. It's like, okay, well, good. This might be a showcase for him for a free agent contract next year, but I mean, outside of actually being in our future plans going forward, I don't see it. What, you're gonna base it off of 1/3 of a season last year in the last 3 years? Like, he's on a 1-year prove it deal, and if you're gonna do it again next year to him, I'm sure someone's gonna pay him more for the same thing, and take a little bit more risk, because we've put last handful of years and X amount of dollars already to him. So, but obviously, if he does walk from that, I think we might not actually. He already has a 1-year extension. So, yeah, this is just a showcase for him, and who might be interested in next year. I really don't think it's going to be us, although we know we're young all over the place right now. Who we have now, I would be shocked if this is anywhere close to the same starting lineup we see opening day next year. There's just so many young players right now. They will need to somehow plug in some veterans, some guys they've either DFA'd or they've cut, potentially. But I'm just kind of indifferent on it. It's great for the game, but at the same time too, it's like with everything, including speculations we've heard over the last two plus months, and what we've seen or really lack of seen on the diamond, it's hard to justify. We're blowing 2 contracts right now on Maeda and Baez. Now Maeda's pitched well the last 2 times out of the bullpen. Actually, he's been very good, but who the hell is going to keep a $14 million bullpen arm for the the 3rd through 6th innings as a long reliever? Nobody.
I think he's going to start.
Doesn't even get paid that much.
I think he's going to start down the stretch.
He might. I mean, I think that's certainly an option, but
he's pitching 5 innings. He's pitching 5 innings a game anyway, right?
But he's pitching almost every 3 games, so 3 or 4 games, and it's like, well, it's basically a starter already. You know what I mean? He's not opening a game. He's coming in around the 2nd or 3rd inning,
which is weird. I don't know what that's about. But
I mean, I think maybe more of a mental thing for him. He was getting rocked as a starter, and last couple times out, 2 for sure, if not 3 times, he's pitched almost like his Minnesota Twin self from last year, where he was a 14-15 game winner. But well, I'm indifferent on it with Tork. I'm more interested in the other guys that we know are going to be here for the next few years and beyond. So, but like you said, it was a position of Madris being limited to only bats against certain pitching, and I'm sure that I feel like this Torkelson with a call up was just a respect thing. Like, okay, we're gonna do what we can to try and maybe get you another spotlight, and here he is. We're 2 hours away from I believe their first and only nationally televised game of the whole year tonight against a team that is either going to win the AL East or they're going to be in the wild card. So, and obviously with the potential AL MVP and Aaron Judge right now, just absolutely dominating the league.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it was a respecting and a courtesy situation, but got to commend the guy that comes in, and you really couldn't ask too much more from the guy. I mean, not only did he have a couple hits,
can ask him to do that all year.
I'm talking about at this point. We can talk about it in hindsight, but I'm talking about as far as right now. I mean, the guy was taking balls opposite field. He had a triple. Like, how many triples has Tork had in his whole career? Probably not that many.
I feel like more people have triples at Comerica Park on average than anywhere else, just because of the dimensions.
Fair enough. But he very well could have came in there, dropped an egg, went 0 for 4, had 3 strikeouts. I mean, I feel like when he says I'm where I'm supposed to be, I think that was more of a metaphorical, and like, who in there do you really want a guy to say when they got to Toledo, I'm right where I'm supposed to be? Like, you want a guy to, I mean, this guy, for all that you love talking about it, he was the best hitter college hitter of all time. I mean, this is a guy that got there for a particular reason. That wasn't a mistake that he was what he was. And I genuinely feel like when he is on and things are clicking all cylinders, I feel like the team as a whole, and I feel like the fan base, I feel like you're in a better place. I feel like we genuinely want him to do well. I mean, I think it's for the betterment of the team if he does well. And things are going to be weird if we look up and he's playing first base in Chicago next year. Like that's just not going to feel right, in my opinion, regardless of how you feel. And if you feel that he was being stubborn, like we can say that he didn't adjust his approach. But if you watch the approach he took going opposite field on that first double, something was different there. That wasn't the prototypical big long swing where he was going to pop out a ball that was, to the outside on the outside corner. He displayed a different tool than what, and that's the tricky part about when you read these box scores. You don't get a chance to really see it on a daily basis. Sometimes you got to go and experience things in person to really get a feel for it. So I think that's where things can be very misleading. And I hope for the best. I hope he tears it up tonight. I hope he hits a home run tonight, because that's gonna be huge for the psyche of the team, the chemistry moving forward. And I would like to see Tork hang around next year, because ultimately, if he's not here, unless we genuinely move Cole Keith the first, which is going to be another year of developing somebody at a new position. I think that we're in the best situation that we can be if he comes back, because it's easy to say, oh, we can just go spend some money. We can just throw a whole bunch of money at Pete Alonso and he'll hopefully, he'll hopefully come in and do what he's supposed to do. But, there's a risk in spending a whole bunch of money on older individuals. How old is Pete Alonso?
That's a good question. I'll check real quick here. But to respond here, the issue is, dude, he has no more options. So let's say he goes into a funk the first 65 days next
29, by the way.
That is. All right. So let's say Torkelson goes into a funk first 40 games, 45 games. He's hitting the same thing, $190, 200, little power, striking out. When he's not on, he's striking out. Maybe back to his old routine of maybe committing some errors with the glove. Now you've got the awkward situation of you got to cut him because you can't send him down. And there's no way in hell he's accepting a outright minor league assignment. And now it just feels awkward, like the family dinner and someone says something that's maybe not, politically correct about a family member. And everyone just kind of wide-eyed well,
the reality is this: his best bet is to take whatever money Detroit is willing to give him on another prove it deal and getting it done for the entire year, because he has the one thing he hasn't.
You gotta imagine though, he's gotta have like almost no wiggle room. He's got to perform when it's over. Like
you're talking about next year. Absolutely. But the amount of money that we're going to be paying him is not going to be enough to where it's going to hurt us to make that decision. Because the one thing he does have here is continuity. He has a relationship with a lot of his teammates. That's what he has going for him. He can't take that anywhere. He can't go anywhere else with that. When he gets somewhere else, I don't think that anybody's going to be willing to make him a outright starter next year for any reasonable amount of money, because he hasn't proved anything. He hasn't proved anything on the field statistically. When they look at it, like they don't go off the fact that, Tork's such a good guy and has a good relationship with his teammates. That's not going to work if he goes to Seattle next year. Like they're going to be like, okay, you're just a has-been guy that not a has. I don't want to say that, but
yeah. Locker room, character counts,
It does, but he doesn't have that same relationship. They don't know him to be like.
It's a business. You perform or you're out, and
Yeah.
he's barely performed. So
Mhm.
here's a problem. Yes, it'd be low risk from a cost standpoint to give him,
Mhm.
let's just say for hell with it, we'll just pay him $1 million next year, which would
Yep.
be a 20% raise from this year, despite having played, 60% of the season at the pro level. Here's a risk. If this does not pan out and he starts to struggle again, and I don't mean just over 2-3 series or 4, but over 35 days, 45 days, coming up on 2 months. Now who's your other first baseman? Bly Madris, who's limited. Now you pretty much have a gaping hole, not just in your starting roster at first base, organizationally. They got no one else left in the organization that can play first base on a day-to-day basis and be, at least respectable in terms of, you know, batting 230, 240 with a little bit of pop here and there, just the bare minimum to help not be a detriment or a hole in the lineup.
I don't think it's
Um,
necessarily a hole. I feel like Matt Vierling can probably play first base. I
Yeah,
feel
but he's
like
not an everyday first baseman, is what I'm saying. You don't have a traditional
oh no, yeah,
first
no.
baseman either on the 40 man or a reliable guy that can go in there consistently 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4 games in a series and bat, because we know Madris doesn't really do that. So
But here's the problem. Here's the beauty in it. Bly Madris is left-handed. You're going to see a majority of right-handed pitchers. So you start Bly Madris for the majority of the games, and then if it's a lefty, you go to somebody that you go out and sign, or you go to Matt Vierling, and Matt Vierling moves over. Who I've seen with my own eyes that he's worked at first base, and we know for the most part, if you can play third base, you can play first base. And he's 6'4". He's like 6'4". He's a big target out there too. So
yep.
no doubt about it. We will take one more break, and then we're gonna wrap things up before my computer takes another crap. All right. Um, any other topics as we wrap things up? I knew that we were
Yeah,
going to have a lot to talk about as far as Torque, but go ahead.
I think it is finally a good time for us to start openly talking about Scooble and the Cy Young race in the American League and potential Triple Crown winner for a pitcher to win the Cy Young.
Now, for the people that don't know, explain what the triple crown.
Yeah.
What are the three categories that fall under that? Because that's kind of a new concept for me, that they even had that. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I was looking up at some of that while I read off some of the numbers. I'm going to just double check. He is first in the league in ERA, 2.53. It dropped a little bit from his last outing after he pitched phenomenally. Of course, it went up when he gave up the 5 runs against Kansas City in that loss, rare loss for him. But only went up like half a run or 4/10 of a run. So the Triple Crown categories are wins, which he is now, I think, he's tied for first with 14 wins. Strikeouts, where he's 7 behind. Was he behind? 2 guys, Dylan Cease and Chris Sale. Also former White Sox pitchers.
Yeah, there
You
you
see a
go.
trend here.
Yeah.
Um, and he's got an opportunity to pass both of them tonight. He's 6 behind Cease, 7 behind Sale, easily within his range. 8 to 10 Ks is kind of where he's been at. And the third category is ERA, which he does lead. So, pending a high strikeout game and a win tonight, he has solo first in wins and should have solo strikeouts to go with, hopefully still the league leading ERA, which will put him back into that Triple Crown grasp, if you will. And to go a little bit further, he's number 2 in the league in WHIP at .92. Since the All-Star game, he's 4-1, 33 in the third innings pitched, 28 hits, only 3 hits each in the last 2 games, each game. 11 runs all earned, 40 Ks to 8 walks. That's 5-to-1 ratio, and he's averaging 95 pitches a game, and he's been consistently getting 6 to 7 innings. And I think 3 of the last 5 games he's pitched, he's gone 7 strong innings. The only guy that's really kind of a serious threat in the American League in terms of the Cy Young, again, current White Socker, Garrett Crochet, who we also had heard potentially may have been dealt by the deadline, but they opted to hold him after trading away some other pieces. So right now, I think these 2 pitchers are going to be probably the cream of the crop in the AL Central going forward the next few years.
Yeah, and then the beauty in it all is that Skubal seems to be getting stronger and stronger as time goes on, whereas some of these guys that are kind of chasing him seem to have spotty here and there bad starts. I mean, I can't even think of some of the guys' names, but I think one of the candidates gave up like 11 runs or something ridiculous like that as of recently. And you just don't see Skubal getting tattooed like that. Like, he may not have seamless, perfect starts every single time, but rarely are you going to see him just get, slapped around out there. So,
yeah, he's pitched around some trouble too. We saw him on Tuesday. He had some runners over 2 or 3 of the first 5 innings, but he was able to pitch around it and get out of it really unscathed. So he's not just dominating, he's maturing before our eyes in tough situations. Whereas I think earlier in the summer, early summer, late spring, we kind of noted like, man, he kind of lets 1 or 2 hits compound into all of a sudden he gives up a double, a home run, and a walk. Next thing you know, he's given up 2 runs on 3 extra base hits and a walk, and now he's kind of in trouble. But he's kind of gotten over that hump, if you will. And I mean, this is going to be a fun race down the stretch. At least something that we're involved in. It maybe not be playoffs, but we're talking about potential new face of not just our franchise, who we knew would be the case, but potentially MLB as well. So this is all around a good news situation for us and the fans of baseball.
Yep, and I just drew a blank. Oh, he's coached up his team to give him all this run support. They scored 15 runs in the game we went to on Tuesday. Whatever he's got going on, whatever magic potion he's got conjured up, he needs to spread that wealth amongst everybody else, because obviously he doesn't need the help. It's everybody else. But that's a whole different story. Now
imagine when we get Mize and Olsen back.
I can't wait. Ladies and gentlemen, get excited. The youth movement is in full effect. We got all the young guys up. Riley Green, we didn't even talk. Maybe you talked about it because I've been in and out. Riley Green is in the lineup tonight playing DH. So does that mean that Carpenter's in the outfield then?
He's playing right field.
Okay, cool.
He's playing right field tonight, yeah.
This is about as strong. No, this is the strongest lineup. We got Meadows back in the outfield. We got I don't know who's playing the corner spot. Is Malloy or Vierling. Vierling is in the corner tonight. So this is going to be the strongest lineup we had as far as the momentum, because all these guys started the year. We had Carpenter, we had Tork, we had all these, Cole Keith, but we were at different stages of things. Colt was struggling at the time. A lot of guys are struggling at the time, but and we'll see how Jake Rogers does. Dingler, we were clamoring to watch Dingler play, but Dingler has kind of hit a little snag as well. But that's gonna happen. He's a rookie. He's seeing all these pitchers for the first time, more than likely. So, but this is the perfect opportunity to pay attention and look at what we have moving forward, because some of these guys are, where you say that this is not the lineup that we're going to have going on next year. For certain, we know that we're likely going to have a Green, a Carpenter, a Cole Keith, and then you got a couple guys that may or may not be around. We know Dingler is going to be a part of that fold next year. May not be Sweeney, may not be Jace Young, but we kind of hope that it's going to be Jace Young, probably, right?
Gio played third mostly, so it's hard to say. But I mean,
Vierling's on the but it all depends. But I feel like that the hopes is that's the reason why we didn't go out and spend big money on is because they didn't want to block Young. So I think that the projection is that Young will be the everyday third baseman, and then that corner outfield would either be Veerling or hopefully a bigger bat, and then you put Veerling into that super utility role that McKinstry is in, because that is an upgrade. You go from a guy like Veerling, who's going to have 70, 80 RBIs at the end of the year, to a McKinstry who's hitting 190 and has 20 or 40, 30 RBIs. So the hopes is that you upgrade you where you lacked where you lacked on the corners last year, that you're improving in that way. So I don't want to hold you guys too long. Any parting words, Coach, before we get up out of here?
No, just would like to obviously see a win tonight, take the series, more so maybe not for our potential, slowly dwindling playoff odds, but more to just stick it to the Yankees.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then a week-long trip this coming weekend to our rival city, Chicago, to face both clubs there. A lot of, like you said, youth movement. It's here. I mean, we are pretty much in partial transition to 2025. Aside from a couple of starting pitchers, hopefully coming back by the turn of the calendar to September at the latest for both of them. That is. But yeah, this is already starting to transform into the team that maybe the front office kind of was hoping or envisioning a few years ago, and heading into the season based on the way they were going to, force basically a lot of these young guys to play and be called up. So, for those that have not been in the system for too long, it's kind of going to be a little bit of trial by fire. So we'll just, sit back, observe, and then, give us our honest reaction when it's all said and done after the 162nd game of the year.
Absolutely. And speaking of dwindling playoff odds, the White Sox were officially eliminated from any chance at
honestly, I'm surprised it wasn't over the 4th of July.
Yeah, it seems like it, but you know how math and all the probability works. It holds you in for as long as you can. But yeah, this is still pretty early to already be out of it.
Well, it's also a contribution to the extra wild card team they put in the other year. So you get teams in it longer.
And you're still, and they're still out with, well, I mean, there's only 40 games left, I guess. So whatever. But that just goes to show there's still a level of hope and a lot of, obviously a lot of help that we need. But so we're not going to hang on that too much. But yes, stay tuned. Any other roster updates that happen throughout the week, we're going to keep you up on those things. We got more player profiles coming as well. And please subscribe to the channel on YouTube. You're getting content every day. If you're a Detroit fan, if you're a sports fan, there's going to be tons of Lions news and Pistons news coming up. We're following the Tigers every game down to the last pitch of the year, and click subscribe on all audio platforms for Corner to Copa, so you will get the notifications. They'll pop up on your screen every time we drop a show, which is about every day, even if it's just a quick, just a quick hitter, just to keep you guys up on what's going on. But Foster Child, my dog Coach, check us out next time.
Take it easy.